Attics make a lot of noises. Sometimes you might have heard some things in the middle of the night, some popping noises, and possibly scratching noises, maybe it's even loud banging noises. And sometimes we just don't know what's actually causing it. So let's talk about it. All right, so usually when I get phone calls for customers having problems because they're hearing noises and they don't know what's causing it, usually the very first thing that pops in their mind is, I've got an animal in my attic. And don't get me wrong, a good percentage of that time they do. However, sometimes they don't. What ends up happening occasionally is that they're hearing a noise that's caused by something else, and because they can't quite explain what's causing it, they want to try to get an answer, so they will generally call somebody such as myself, or somebody will tell them, oh, well, I had a raccoon in my attic, or I had rats, and that's probably what's causing it, so that's what's in their mind. Sometimes I'll get out there to a residence, and yes, absolutely, there is signs that they've had something in their attic, maybe that actually caused the noise. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're hearing a noise that's completely unrelated to the animal, and once the job is actually over, they still are hearing a noise. That leaves them a little frustrated, and it leaves me frustrated because I like my customers to have peace of mind when I'm wrapped up and done with their job, that they don't have critters in their attic anymore. So ultimately, this video is to help educate people about different things that can cause different noises. That even if you don't have an animal in your attic, this might help give you a little bit of peace of mind as to what might be causing those noises. So this way, you have some idea as to, hey, I don't have anything in my attic. It's just house noises, or it's probably just this, or it's probably just that. So let's go over a couple things. In an attic, you have these trusses. These are what helps secure your roof and keeps it secure, so this way it doesn't blow away in our Florida hurricanes. Now, depending on the age of your home, there's also different types of ductwork. As you can see here, this distribution box is actually aluminum. So if you've ever had, say, you got a baking sheet and you put it in the oven. Well, as the temperature starts rising in the oven, what happens? Well, you might even hear that baking sheet go pop. So that's because there's that heat expansion inside that metal that causes it then to warp the metal. Well, these here can do the exact same thing. This metal will expand and contract. These studs will expand and contract. You can also have issues with settling. A newer home, especially, because they had just freshly put that, had leveled out that ground, they built the house. Over time, it's going to start to settle, and therefore it will create noise. Generally in the form of just random pops or creaks. You will hear something sometimes in the walls. You will hear them up in the attic. If you're hearing anything, it sounds, like a random banging sound every so, or a loud pop every once in a while. It could be these, if you have metal distribution boxes or ductwork, that could be one of the things that's causing it. A lot of people, especially in the newer homes, tend to have their air handlers installed in their attics as well, and that's made of metal. Sometimes that makes a noise. You can have all kinds of things. You could have an obstruction in the fan of the air handler that could be causing, some restriction on the blade, or cause it to, make a grinding noise or a banging noise occasionally if it strikes something. So those are things that could be considered. Attics, there's a lot of different things, and depending on the construction of the attic, how it was built, and why it was done that way, it can create a whole host of different things. You have roof vents that are made of metal, often on on top of a lot of roofs, and sometimes when the heat expands and contracts in the middle of the day and at night, sometimes those can pop and cause some noises in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, especially as we start getting later into the year, the attic temperatures this time of year get really high, and they're only going to get higher, and therefore it's going to take longer for the temperature in the attic to level out and to start dropping down, which means that you might go from hearing noises around 7, 8 p.m. to now hearing noises 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. So that could be another thing that could change in your attic that could result in you hearing noises when you don't want to hear them and could keep you up. So there are very specific noises when it comes to animals in an attic. Usually scurrying. You'll hear different noises. I'm going to try to imitate it a little bit. What this? It could be, or it could be things along those lines that you'll, start noticing if it's an animal-related thing. Typically, just, a random typically is not animal. Usually it's a popping stud or something like that. So just kind of bear those things in mind. Sometimes I'll get out to a residence after a customer is complaining of hearing constant noises and it's keeping them up in the middle of the night and it's frustrating them. And I'll get out there and I'll take a look and I'll see no sign of any kind of animal activity in their attic, not even so much as an entry point where something could get in. And I know it's frustrating for them because now they still don't have an answer. And then sometimes the noise that they were hearing had nothing to do with the animal that was actually in their attic. And so by the time I've resolved the rodent issue or whatever it is that they're experiencing, they've now still hearing the noises and they're frustrated. And so I try to give people some understanding as to what could be going on to help them to be able to have some peace of mind knowing that there's not something still in their attic destroying their home. I know that doesn't help from not getting woken up in the middle of the night, and I know that's frustrating, but at the very least, if maybe knowing that it's nothing serious, that it will help you to be able to kind of block that out in the middle of the night and sleep through it without, feeling that there's something else going on. I hope this was informational. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to help as much as I can. And as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Hit the like, comment, subscribe, and I really do appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.